What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to go over a super simple lighting setup that you can create in about 10 minutes. It only uses 3 lights that can all be purchased on Amazon for about $250 total. Whether you're a seasoned filmmaker or just learning the craft, this setup is extremely useful for a wide variety of situations when you want to create a nice, pleasing aesthetic that paints the interview subject in an uplifting and flattering light, all the while maintaining a nice amount of contrast to keep your frame looking interesting and compelling. I use this exact setup on just about all of my commercial shoots. There of course are a ton of way more complex lighting setups that can be created, but they require thousands of dollars worth of gear, often a crew to set up, and much more time and resources on set. This is a great way to quickly and easily create a polished and professional look with a very manageable amount of gear that will keep your production running efficiently, and your clients will be blown away by the look. Now, here's my simplified lighting setup that I recommend that can be done cheaply, efficiently, and will look just as good as many of the expensive and complicated lighting setups out there. Here we go. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to want to do here is you're going to want to take a look at what else is in the frame, what the edges of the frame could be, what we have available furniture-wise in the background, how we might want to frame this shot up. So I'm going to pan around the room, look at different options. Now you'll also want to experiment with different positionings of your interview subject. Do you want them to be in the middle of the couch? Do you want them to be off to the side? What looks more natural? So if you don't know right away, it doesn't hurt to have them try a few different positions to see what looks best. So you don't always want to have a window in frame. It can be extremely bright and can oftentimes be blown out. On this set, it actually worked out really well because there were nice curtains over the windows which diffused the light quite a bit. It's still a little bit brighter than ideal, but it's not bad. Whether it was on frame or not, the window is still going to be providing a lot of natural light. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to expose properly for whatever the natural ambient light is. Now I've turned all of the lights off in this room so that we could have a nice base of just window light. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to set up the key light. For today we're using the Neewer soft box, which I've got linked in the description down below. These go for a pack of 2 for about 75 bucks now, which is a really great deal for a really solid light. It has 2 settings, high and low, so you can get a good amount of versatility out of a really cheap light. I've used these lights for a few years and not had a single problem with them yet. They're very reliable, versatile, and work really nicely for interviews in a wide variety of situations. So now I'm looking at the frame that looks a little bit weird with the chair kind of right in the corner there, so I'm going to go ahead and move that out. So now we've got the window light creating nice ambient light for the room, and also a little bit of a rim light on the far side of her hair and her arm there. As you can see, we're going to add in our key light and we get a really nice fill. Now we've got 2 settings on this light. We've got low setting and high setting. You can play around with them and see what looks best for your particular scene. Since we have a lot of light coming in from the window, I think it looks best right now to use the highest setting so we can balance that out a good amount. But then the high setting is a little bit more intense than what I'd really ideally like. So what we can do there, since we only have 2 options for the settings, we can move the light back a little bit to soften it up just a little bit more. So now that I've done that, we'll check the monitor and just kind of see how things are looking so far. So now that we've got the softbox filling in a bit of the shadows created from the window, we're going to add a catch light. Now the catch light is to kind of catch the light in their eyes, as the name suggests. It also creates a nice flattering look on the face as well. You'll see as we set this up. You want to have the catch light kind of shining at an upward angle into their eyes so it really catches that light in their eyes. Now these Neewer lights are great. They're bicolor and dimmable, meaning you can warm or cool the color temperature or make it more orange or more blue. Now we're balancing based off of the daylight from the window, so we're going to use the more cool side of the spectrum, and we're going to just use the blue knob that you'll see on the back of the light. And we're going to play with that up and down a little bit till we get it to a nice range that creates a nice look that we like. Now that we've got 2 of our 3 lights set up, I'm going to take a step back and look at the frame and just kind of see what is going on. From kind of an artistic standpoint, I see that we've got that lamp on the bookshelf in the background. It almost looks just a little bit out of place having a lamp in the frame that's not turned on. So let's go ahead and cut that on and see how that looks. So that actually adds a really nice pop of light, pop of color. I really like that it's a warm orange light that's adding some nice complementary color contrast to a lot of the blue that's in the scene. That actually adds a really nice dynamic look to our frame there. So I'm really glad that we turned that on. I'm gonna move the old record player in just a little bit so the edge of it isn't cut off. A lot of these are just personal artistic decisions. You can, play with what's available and see what you like best. Now that I'm looking at the frame, things are looking nice, but I really like this plant that's in the background, but it's totally off frame. So let's go ahead and move that in and see what that looks like. Okay, so it's a little bit in the frame, but we can slide it in a little bit more. Playing with the positioning of the plant, you don't ever want plants to kind of look like they're growing out of the back of someone's head, so we can play with it back and forth and see what amount of the plant looks best. Yeah, so we've got a pretty nice frame now. I like the look that the plant adds to it, a little bit of greenery in there. I see that we do have just a little bit more headroom in the shot than what would be ideal, so let's play with that and get that dialed in just a little bit. So now I'm going to take a look at the lighting. I see we've got the window light, we've got the softbox looking really nice. I think we might be able to bring the catch light up on the brightness scale just a little bit. Let's brighten that and see how that looks. That looks good with it a little bit brighter there. Keep her face nice and bright and lively. That's kind of the look that we're going for with this. Now we've got our third light to work with still. So we're going to use this third light as a rim light for our subject here. We're going to set it up behind them at about a 45-degree angle. And then we'll go ahead and lift the light up a little bit so we can shine it down on the back and top of her head so we can create a nice kind of halo effect there. So we're going to take a look at our frame now. You can see with our exposure, if we had the exposure brighter, she might look a little bit more lively, but then it blows the window out a little bit. We don't want the highlights in the windows to clip. So we'll bring our exposure back to where it was because that was good. You can always change the interior exposure with color grading and make her a little bit brighter later if you feel like you want to brighten that up. So now that we've got our frame set, I feel like everything looks pretty good. Obviously, we could probably spend hours, just looking at every single detail of this frame and find something we might want to make look a little bit better. Obviously, on set, time is usually relatively limited. You don't have all day to just pick apart every single detail of the frame. So you want to get it looking really nice with the appropriate amount of time, and then go ahead and run with it once you've got it to a really nice range. So today, using only 3 lights, we created a really nice polished look that you can set up in about 10 minutes or less. And all of the lights we use today only cost about $250 total on Amazon. I hope you have great success. Feel free to try these out on your own sets. Comment down below. Let me know how it went. We'll also be doing lots of gear and product reviews in the future. We really care about finding that sweet intersection between high quality and low cost so you can make amazing films with great cinematic tools without having to break the bank.